I am Michael Damiani. I have seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I'm Kyle Bosman. I have seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, we activate Spoiler Mode.
Spoiler mode, spoiler mode, final warning, spoiler mode, activated.
Welcome to this installment of Spoiler Mode, and this movie has got my spider sense tingling in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good
Not
way.
like danger's approaching.
No
but
danger.
Like that was a good movie.
But I think ours went off because, like, together, like when they can sense other
you
Spider-Man.
have it too.
Because, yeah.
I thought I was the only one.
You've got it too?
You have what?
And you've got it too?
You,
wow.
you-
All of you got it too that were watching this? Because you probably thought it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we are here to talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the latest adaptation of the Spider-Man universe.
Mm-hmm.
And by universe, we mean the multiverse.
Yeah.
Because this film goes in some crazy directions, but awesome directions. And we got a lot of questions from patrons. We got almost 50 questions.
Yeah.
I think this might be the most active spoiler mode we've gotten for ones we called for question submissions.
That's great. Thank you. Because, when Damiani talked about like how we're going to do a spoiler mode on it, he just said I'll ask questions. Because, there's like plot stuff, but I don't think there's like to me, it's a really simple, like, great story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's like a lot of like interesting nooks to explore and things like that. So I'm excited to see what kind of questions people tossed at us.
Oh yeah, but before we get into any questions,
Okay.
I mean kind of like got the agreement that we like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how did you feel about this movie after seeing it now?
I'm floored, dude. I was floored by this movie.
Floored.
Yes.
Like Spider-Man usually off the floor though.
Yes.
I was expecting a swinging
not
through
gonna-
the air.
I'm not going to give you a single Spider-Man pun
Okay.
for the rest of this podcast.
Okay.
Damiani, I just like it's an animation studio that hasn't had something on this level before. All of the voice acting, the casting was out of this world, just so good. Everybody was just so talented, but also very right for the part. And the script, this is a PG movie, dude, is extremely funny despite that, extremely emotional despite that. And so it finds places to go dark, to go humorous, without ever even touching that PG-13 is pretty nuts to me.
I'm surprised. I guess it makes sense because all the previews were PG as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, wait, is this? Oh, yeah, it's animated. So is this a kids? Kind of aimed at kids? And then now that you brought that to my attention, I went in just not even knowing what the rating was.
Right.
So that makes a way more sense.
You don't get
now.
that, but it doesn't feel like a kid's movie,
It was
right?
convincing. I just
Yeah.
assumed it was PG-13.
Yeah.
Because it gets dark in some places, but at the same time, yeah, they don't. They handled that very well. I think I was floored, Kyle, by the animation in this film. So good. I know early on, when I first saw it, it didn't quite click immediately. But then as I watch more trailers, it's like, oh, I get it. They're going for a comic book in motion, or at least an expression of a comic book aesthetic. And I've seen some comments here and there ahead of release, people saying, oh, the animation looks like, what's wrong with the frame rate? What's wrong with this? And if you were a doubter before, I think after seeing this, you will get it.
Yeah.
If the trailers didn't sell you on it, it just works so well in expressing this feel that you're in a living comic book. To the writing, like the panel writing coming up at parts and stuff, like the inner monologue stuff with the writing. I just hadn't seen anything like this. It was just on a whole other level.
Yeah. It was unafraid to be a comic book movie. Whereas I think, when it started off, even if we look back at, the first Spider-Man movies, they didn't want to be comic book movies. They wanted to be movies. I think more of like X-Men. We don't want the X-Men to wear yellow and blue, right? And so, yeah, this one's just like totally like we're going to totally embrace the comic books aesthetic and in very interesting ways, like using flashbacks. Like when Miles finally becomes a Spider-Man, he gets his own cover. It's actually effective storytelling in a way, even on top of all those things. So it's pretty cool.
I think that might have been the most powerful, awesome, and memorable debut of the Spider-Man costume, like the official one in a film, of a Spider-Man film that I've seen. Because it's always like a big reveal. You see it in the trailers, but like when they actually start wearing it, when they get that uniform, this one, like it felt like Miles really earned it.
Yes.
The character arc was complete. Here is your reward. I think the film that tried to do it, come as close to it the most, was Spider-Man Homecoming.
Right.
The whole thing about if you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve it, kid. That whole arc, a little too over the head with that message. This one felt more natural, and I felt more excitement when it finally came out, and you're like, yes. Now, like, Miles has unlocked his Super Saiyan here. He's become Super Saiyan.
He did become
This
Super
is how
Saiyan,
it felt like. You
Yes.
become Super Saiyan for the first time.
Yeah.
And we get to see you go all out. And yeah, I think that's like one of the film's best and biggest payoffs, honestly, for me.
Yeah, it does suck they use almost all the shots from that sequence. Really good music implementation. All of that was in the trailer, right? Just like dropping down in the city, just, Miles just flipping around the city. Yeah, basically all of that was kind of already seen, but still effective and still meaningful at that time. You know it's coming, but it still means something to you when it does.
So good. Sorry for a quick tangent. Watching the whole movie, I know we just had a fantastic Spider-Man game, Kyle.
Yes.
I still haven't played through it yet, but I'm taking everyone's word for it. I want another Spider-Man game that looks like this now.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, oh, I just want. I wanted more of this. I left wanting way more. I was like, I want more movies like this.
Yeah.
Can the next Spider-Man game look like this? I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
So excited about this.
I hear you, dude.
But we gotta. Our audience wants to know what we thought about this film, like specific parts of it. So we're gonna dive into some patron questions. And our first one, we're gonna go in chronological order this time.
First come, first serve.
That's right. From Cisco, thoughts? We're going right to the end spoiler here, the post-credit spoiler.
We warned everybody.
Yeah, this is your warning. Again. Thoughts on the 2099 end scene, of course. Also thoughts on the unique animation style. Do you see that they embellished every second with those additional effects?
Yes. Okay, well, so let's talk about 2099 first. I was actually not even expecting a post-credit stinger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a typical one, right? Where it's just like Miguel, and you're like, oh, okay, so we're talking about 2099. You see his wrist, and then you see like, oh, so we have an idea of what the sequel will be. This guy can transfer where he wants to go automatically, and then he says, I'm going back to Spider-Man 67, I think, or Earth 67. I don't remember. Back to where it all began. And then they're just memeing it up, dude.
They're shouting match.
And then they just go straight for the meme. And it's totally funny because it's not just a wink like, oh, we're doing the meme, because you're right. The shouting match itself is funny. The cuts to the other, like, oh, that one's Spider-Man. All of that was so good.
It was. I was surprised that they left such a good part for that. And it was when they said the name, people in the audience just started getting clapping and stuff.
Yes,
because they were excited for this. And then when the meme part hit, the audience was just dying at this part. Everyone in the theater was laughing at this part. It was pretty good. I liked it because for me, one of the first comics I ever bought on my own, it might have been the only one I've ever bought on my own, because a lot of them were given to me by family friends.
For sure.
Was when I was little, was the when Spider-Man 2099 debuted.
Oh, cool, dude.
I was in a store and I saw it. I was like, this looks awesome.
Yeah.
Also, it says 2099, so it's super futuristic Spider-Man, probably. Got that. I was like, the cover was so cool. Got that, read that. So when this came on, I was like, there we go. It's there's a Spider-Man 2099 representation. There we go. Good stuff.
There aren't a lot of ones left.
Yeah, I know.
There aren't a lot of good alternate Spider-Mans left. We might have 3 left, but yeah, it's still fun.
Do you think they'll bring in video game Spider-Man?
His costume was in there, but no, I don't think they will.
Yeah, Kyle, how would you rate the costumes of these Spider-Men and Spider-Women?
They're all pretty straight out. I think that they did some good simplification of Noir. I mean, maybe we should talk about him, but later, maybe someone will ask about him. But his character was obviously simplified as well, which I liked a lot. To me, it's kind of cheesy that I love red fingers on a Spider-Man suit. The Beverly Hills one had it too. But the reason they were red is because the paint wore off on his fingers. And then he goes thanks, I made it myself, You didn't have to do that. Miles could have chosen to keep the fingers red, but still really cool.
Nice. And animation style, we said was great.
Yes.
Loved everything about it. Our next question comes from Steven. How did you feel about the musical score? I found the range of the music and character themes to be incredibly impressive. The music seemed to flow seamlessly throughout the movie. The Prowler's theme particularly stood out to me. Were there any tracks or musical moments that stood out to any of you?
Yes, dude. The first moment that comes to mind is the one that immediately follows the announcement of Spider-Man being dead on the news. And then you see how it impacts everyone in New York, and there's just a great track playing the whole time, and you're sad. You're sad for that Spider-Man you knew for 20 seconds. And so, like, I just love that one. And again, obviously, I love the one where Miles is zipping around in his suit, finally has accepted his role.
Those are pretty much the two parts. The leap of faith part and everything about that. Also, not just the original score, the licensed music they used in here. A lot of like the hip hop and rap stuff in here was like really good. Yeah, like hearing Biggie, I was like, oh yeah, we're like this is awesome.
Yeah, there's a good montage when he's doing the graffiti down in the basement. That tunnel. Yeah,
like I really like the selection they picked for everything there, and yeah, it was I think you took the words right out of my mouth for the two parts that I thought of, but yeah, good score. Sorry, I was thinking of like something else, but I want to save it for. I don't want to keep jumping into different topics as we're going through the questions, so
I think that song was still playing during the Stan Lee scene too, and like everybody was like, just like it goes from like laughter and clapping to just like silence. Nobody can say a thing. Yeah.
And then they make the crack at the end, like the sign, like it'll fit eventually or whatever. At any point, no refunds.
That's some good Stan Lee stuff right there.
All right. Varun wants to know, or says, I loved the way the film conveyed these characters to the audience. From the changes in art style, for example, when noir was the main focus, or the unique taunts they had when in combat. Except there was one character I think was a little hard done by. And that was the character of Aaron, Miles' uncle. The reveal of him getting shot to me felt rushed. And I understand that they had to set up a lot of characters in a short time. But when the film got to the emotional climax, it didn't hit me as hard as I think it could have. Maybe if they set up some motivations for doing it, maybe showing him and Miles connecting more, allowing us a bigger window into their relationship. Why this death means so much to Miles, it would have impacted me more. I think they should have made the reveal death and the eventual follow-up. They could have easily made him run away once he knows Fisk is over. This would leave a thread for the next film in which they could have explored this relationship in more detail, perhaps show some more hardships Aaron has to go through and why he turned to this life. Did anyone else have the same feelings? What do you think about my ideas?
I gotta disagree big time. Okay, sorry. First introduction of Uncle Aaron is just in the discussion with his dad in the car. He's like, you want to end up like your Uncle Aaron. What's wrong with Uncle Aaron? That's good. That's a good little tease about that. But then we see that, like, when Miles is frustrated at school, like when he can't write his paper, he just goes out to hang out with his uncle. And then his uncle appreciates his art and encourages that. Also encourages him to like date. And, they have like a really good, the moment of the hand on the shoulder and saying, shoot, what is it? What's up? Hey.
Oh, yeah.
It's hey.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, man, the words appear and everything? I don't know what more you could ask for. Like, that is a deep heart-to-heart. You absolutely get the relationship. You get why Miles likes him, and you get why his uncle loves him, too. And, I mean, the death scene, you could say it felt rushed. I think it felt non-violent intentionally, right? We don't see a bullet wound. We don't see blood again because this is PG. But no way, dude. His expression, he pulls off his own mask, and the way he just like tucks on Miles's mask and just sets him aside, and then just bullet shot right there. There's not much left to explore, I think. If he's in jail, like, I don't think that's a fun thing where he's got to go visit him or anything. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own in terms of like how much you need to see into the window of a character to feel attached to them. Some people can win you over in a few minutes. Like the first, I remember when I was taking a film class, someone tried to argue that you can't make you can't get seriously attached to a character if you don't have X amount of time. And it's like, and then all of a sudden the beginning of Up comes along. And those first like silent like 5 minutes of that film, you feel, I think most people felt really attached to that the characters and felt heartfelt sadness for the loss. So I think you can do things in the right amount of time and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be a whole film. but to each their own.
Yep.
But with this, I mean, I felt I had enough of the relationship building to go there. Everything you said, Kyle, it felt, especially the dynamic between Miles and his father and Miles and his uncle. Like, obviously his father really loved Miles.
Yes.
But because, there was just like that friction that sometimes comes with the father-son relationship there, and all the kind of like cool stuff. I want to talk about like more stuff that is, I don't want to talk with my dad about. So I'm going to talk with Uncle Aaron about this.
Yeah.
And it was like the cool uncle. So you could kind of see that. I think that it was kind of a normal thing, at least to me. I understood that relationship. And for me, the reveal when Miles tries to seek refuge when he's getting chased.
Yes.
And he seeks refuge in his uncle's apartment.
Yep.
And then it comes in there and you're like, is it just chasing him for that? Because like, did he know he's in there? Like, why is he there? And then the reveal.
Yeah.
When you find out that like his uncle, this is why he has a bad rep. Or I mean, I don't know if his father knew about this, but honestly, he was working for Fisk.
Yeah.
And he was trying to kill his own nephew. And it's like, oh, that was almost like the reveal in Spider-Man Homecoming when you find out Michael Keaton's the father.
Yeah,
not the same relationship, but
I'm gonna say that one was more of an actual genuine shock to me, the Michael Keaton one.
Okay.
Whereas Uncle
You
Aaron
saw
being
this?
Prowler, so like okay, and
Okay.
they didn't. I don't think they belabored it too. You know what I mean? You got it really quick. That scene wasn't too long, where he's just kind of poking around and like.
Oh yeah, they don't give you much time because then he realizes Miles is in there, but not as Miles. They have a chase sequence.
Yeah.
Then you have the reveal when they like see each other, and he's like, "Oh no, Miles! Like what is this?"
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it was meant to be a surprise necessarily to the audience as much as a shock as it was supposed to be for Miles' development.
Right.
That like his icon turned out to be, this evil person, but like, was he really? This conflict of emotions going on there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really tough for him, and I like that. So I do disagree a little bit with where else this could have gone, because I think it did everything it needed to do to help with Miles' advancement and character development to reach the point where he believes more in himself and becomes capable of being one of the Spider-Man, a hero and stuff.
Yeah.
Fruit Fracker is our next patron.
Great name.
How do you feel about this as a launching point for an animated Spider-Man Spider-Verse? I loved all these characters and would really love to see them explored more. Well, guess what? You are going to get more, because they announced a sequel and a spinoff.
No, today already?
Not just today, already. I've read about this for like the last few days.
Oh, cool. So what's going on?
So there will be a sequel.
Okay.
I haven't really said much about the sequel yet.
Heavily implied, though. Gwen says, hey, Miles, you got some time, and then we see Spider-Man 2099 at the end. So,
and the spinoff is going to be with Gwen, and it's going to they give two other characters who are going to be involved in it. So yeah, you got two projects in this shared universe happening, which is great, because this shows. This to me feels I feel way better about this, and I feel this could be more successful in the long term than the other live action venue. The Venom. Venom was obviously a huge success.
Right, Venom's coming back too.
And it's coming back, but
Yeah.
I'm worried that was more flash in the pan, and I don't know how well the other ones will be and perform.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this is long term.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
they got something really special here. And in fact, they could just roll that Venom stuff into this if they really wanted to, because they're gonna need more villains. They didn't have Venom in here,
Yeah.
and Carnage, they were not in here. That's something that they like. There's nothing denying them from being in here. But I like this. Everything has been live action. We've had live action Marvel and superhero films for a long time now. Obviously, they both do their traditional animated adaptations as well, both DC and Marvel.
Right.
But nothing on the scale of this. Those
This
are
is
always
huge
like
scale, not
straight to
straight-
home video.
Exactly.
Like, they're not the serious ones. This is a nice kind of like alternative to the live action universe.
Yeah.
And I really like it.
Yes. Yeah, I plan to see every single one that they put out.
Yeah.
Can't believe it kind of came out of nowhere to me, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, this film had been advertised for a long time. I think it was up to like over a year before it came out, was like the first trailer for it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, I remember I wasn't quite sure what this was about. I was like, is this some kind of spinoff of the old Sony Spider-Man movies, or what's going on here? And yeah, boy, am I glad. Like I didn't fully know what I was gonna get out of this film going into it, and other than we're gonna see a lot of Spider-Man come together and be in a shared universe, and they like nailed it.
Yeah, my first concern after hearing the title right is Spider-Verse stuff gets messy. It gets really hard to do. And what I think they did so well in this movie is actually differentiated each Spider-Man, where it wasn't a bunch of Peter Parkers and some Ben Rileys or something, right? It wasn't just a lot of the same people of the same height from the same background talking to each other about the same stuff. They actually had very different backgrounds, but all had this thing in common. Even Spider-Ham, it was so cool the way... Yeah, like you hear Spider-Ham and you think it's a gimmick, and it totally is, but they use the character so well to help that story move along. Yeah, I think what my initial impression of what this movie would be was completely wrong, for sure.
I don't know how they could do this in live action either.
You can't.
Like this is something that
Don't even try.
I don't. It would not have worked as well for sure. All right. Our next question comes from Sade. A big praise for this movie is the animation style.
Mm-hmm.
What other superheroes would you like to see a movie of using this style?
Oh, that's a good question. So, I love the action sequences. Like, to me, it's weird. I think Iron Man is good with Robert Downey Jr. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't care to see Iron Man in this kind of style. Like, to me, Spider-Man, the character, is so animated just in, like, his poses, right? Just in how freaky, like, he'll just, like, I don't know, just flip around, right? Like, it's hard to communicate, and it's when it is live action, it's never the right thing. It's always just like, well, why isn't he like Spider-Man though? You know, it's always just kind of like, I don't know, like stocky or muscular or just like not as muscular as like Spider-Man's impossible to be. And so I love that that's animated that way. So if you had to ask me who else, I'm going to say the X-Men.
X-Men.
Yeah. The animated X-Men movie will be better than the live action X-Men movie. That's my guess.
Nice. For some reason, the first thing that jumped out to me was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
I mean, it does look really good, live action.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, because, space, special effects, they kind of go hand in hand nowadays. But I wonder what they could do. I wonder what it could get more out of the feel. Like, if it would feel more at home in an art style like this versus being live action. Because at the end of the day, you could still tell, obviously, that's something is CG. You can still tell those are still humans being masked with CG to look a certain way, and it does a good job. But I still think maybe there's I just think there could be something that could be gained by doing an animated Guardians film.
Yeah.
And it's just something different. I think I don't think Guardians has ever been in an animated form besides a comic, obviously.
Oh, we'll never know, dude. There's so many Marvel animated movies.
Oh yeah,
there's so many. Like, I'm sure there's one.
I know that the most recent one was like Doctor Strange, I think, but I forget if Guardians actually got in there. But yeah, I'm probably wrong on that. But
I bet there's some like Disney XD series too.
There's probably something I'm just forget, like I've never
heard
of and stuff.
Yeah,
that's probably what.
But I hear you, dude.
Yeah,
think of the scene where it's Jake Johnson, Peter Parker. Jake Johnson, Peter Parker, when he's first knocked out and he's getting dragged by the train while Miles is dragged behind him.
Oh, yeah.
And, just it looks so absurd. You couldn't do that. You couldn't drag his face on asphalt. And then just, the on the police radio, you hear just we have a suspect of one child dragging a deceased homeless man, and so that's a funny joke because it's labeling what we just saw, but that wouldn't work at all in live action. You can't be that silly, you can't be that goofy.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kyle. I definitely agree with that. Our next question comes from Evan. Sorry, not Evan. All Creation. Considering Oh, sorry, it was from Evan. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's just, I think it might be a similar question. Hang on, let me just read through it real quick.
No problem.
I'll just read the comment. We already answered this, but they said how do you feel about the art style overall, which we've talked about.
Sure.
But for them, it was so refreshing to see an animated movie not in the standard awful looking Disney Pixar style.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you
Slash Illumination. Saw a trailer for like Life of Pets 2. And just see like a little girl. It's like that little girl's like in every single movie. It's just like, yeah.
Can't wait to see Mario like that. It's coming. But yeah, like you think of all the other styles of animation that have been done, like even the 3D animated stuff this film would not be the same if it was done that way.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing out there that's like this. Now for all creation. Considering Sony's role here, do you think there's any chance of these characters or this universe crossing over with the recently announced Ultimate Alliance 3 game for the Switch? Or the Avengers game?
Sadly not. Sadly
Trying to tie it
not.
into gaming stuff. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we have a chance at some nods in Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac, right? But like no chance for Ultimate Alliance 3. But also, like, I don't know what a nod to this movie would look like that isn't also just a nod to the comics. Again, because they don't have the likenesses that are that different from their comic appearances, you know?
Like, I could see maybe either do, like, a prop somewhere or maybe, like, a poster hanging somewhere, a sign, something like that could possibly be the most they do, but I don't think it would be anything more overt than that.
Maybe that cool fire hydrant thing, and the guy's like, I think it's a Banksy.
I think it's a... Yeah,
so good, dude. Come on.
That part, I was like, oh, gosh. We actually had someone on the theory go, well, what's a Banksy?
Oh, no. Let me explain.
Yeah, it's like, good thing Heber wasn't there.
He's an activist street artist.
Yeah, they should have had someone in the movie, like, street, like, shout that too. Like, just, like, to anticipate people in the audience being, like, what's a Banksy? For some people. Raphael has our next question.
Okay.
Where would you rank this in your superhero movie list?
Oh, okay, let's do it.
All right.
It's high, dude. Top 5. It's going to be top 5. What's your number 1?
Okay. Whew. Yeah, this is hard. So for me, my favorite is probably still... I still love Tim Burton's Batman.
Oh, that's cheating.
You want to keep it in Marvel only?
No. That's a good pick, dude. That's a good movie.
Oh, it's like cheating.
My number 1's Logan, which is also like a completely different kind of movie,
Logan,
I feel like.
Yeah, so like, yeah. It's between, for me, it's that. Unbreakable.
Oh, that is cheating.
It's a superhero movie, and it is really good.
This movie's better than Unbreakable.
Yeah, close. Unbreakable is really good. It's a different film. It's not about superheroes fighting,
100%
but it's still about.
Would you put in your top 5?
I mean, that's what I'm doing right here. I'm trying to figure out what would be my short list. So 1989, Tim Burton Batman, Unbreakable.
Yep.
In this film was really good, so I'll keep it in there for now. I don't like putting like the newest thing I saw in there just yet. I really liked. None of the other Batman films like qualify. Oh, but except animated, the Mask of the Phantasm or Return of the Joker
counts. You can count Phantasm.
Oh my gosh!
Sure. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, those are definitely probably going to be in there in the running for that. And from the Marvel, I got to get some more Marvel stuff.
I think Infinity War is high up.
For you?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I like watching Infinity War for the payoff, but like standalone, you need to watch everything. But it's one of the rare exceptions where the rule of a movie should be able to stand alone as a good film. It does not need to rely on anything else. That is a film that you absolutely lose a lot. That film is like, it's entertaining.
It's the first Marvel film I watched.
Kyle. Sure, okay, yeah. I'll take the testimonial of Kyle Bosman. Never seen a Marvel movie until he jumped into Infinity War.
Yep.
But I was going to say Guardians of the Galaxy 1 for me is probably up there. I really like the first Guardians.
Good pick. What's crazy, though, is that this animated movie even competes, right? That this thing that came out of nowhere that I had no hype for a month ago is where it is. I'd put it above Homecoming. I'd put it really close to Infinity War. To me, it's just such a good implementation of character and style, and also like innovative film techniques, dude. Like it's really really cool what they were able to put together in that movie.
Would you count The Mask as a superhero movie?
Yes, but I don't want to see it near your top 10.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see where we
Just
can
making
go.
sure.
Just trying to see where we can go with
Just
here.
making sure.
Like, yeah. Do we get into like the like comic booky, not superhero, but like they're just like the heroes? Like Dick Tracy's obviously not a superhero.
Right.
But like that whole film is shot like, you know, that noir style. It's still kind of like cool, and it's just like the villains in that film. I don't know. We're talking about Dick Tracy. I just want
Definitely
to
doesn't hold up.
up.
Spider-Man crushes Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Like, do you have your actual 5, Kyle, or do you
I
have
don't.
anything?
It's definitely in top 5, and
Uh-huh.
I'd put it above Homecoming and maybe right behind Infinity War.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm forgetting something really big and obvious, Kyle. That's why I'm like hesitant to move on. Like maybe something not from like Marvel and DC.
I don't know, like The Crow?
No, like I mean, I'm just like what are the like, ones that were like landmark, but ended like Watchmen didn't end up being that great. It was like okay.
You gotta move on. There's no other good movies.
Till someone in the comments says something, Kyle, they're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, you two! You were sitting there thinking you couldn't think of Bubbles' badass adventures."
Yeah, that's a good movie.
In Bravo Land.
Look, good movie, still doesn't rank.
It's like, yeah. All right. Our next question from Daniel. This is a fun one.
Bring it on, Daniel.
Did you and Kyle go together, and was popcorn shared?
The answer is no.
Oh, so then
Damiani,
who stole my buttered popcorn then?
some guy behind you. You
Oh,
saw it opening night, right?
I saw it the Thursday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it over the weekend. With some college buddies, actually. Went to go visit a college buddy. So
Oh,
it was cool.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, went Thursday night, usual spot. Went with my roommate Simmons and Maximilian Dude and his wife and their our friend Kenny, who's also part of the Yo Video Games crew.
Yeah.
And then they went to go like shoot their like version of spoiler mode after. And I was like, yeah, guys, I can't do that because we're doing a patron exclusive one. So that might be a little weird if I like go do it.
Yeah.
And then we asked people, I was like,
That's loyalty, dude. That's loyalty.
You're
very lucky,
Damn
patrons.
it. It's like you guys picked this one. Like they hadn't done one in a while, I think.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're definitely because they loved it too.
Oh,
Like,
great.
they
That's what I want
really,
to know
really
if they were
loved
like
it.
screaming wild
So I was
about
like,
it too.
fine. If you're doing one for Bumblebee, I'll be on that one because we're not doing a Bumblebee spoiler mode. So
There will be no Bumblebee spoiler mode.
did you see what it was described as? Apparently, it's really good. And someone said it was if John Hughes had made Transformers.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
It looks cool, but let's not go that far. No Aquaman either. Please don't ask for it. Maybe Huber will do Aquaman.
When is that actually coming out?
It's like close. I think it's like the 21st.
So it is this month. I thought it just
Yeah,
came out
yeah.
internationally this month and it came out
Yeah.
like next month or something. Yeah, I'm not going to go watch that actually.
Maybe Jones will do Aquaman for you.
Yeah, we'll see. We got our next question.
Okay.
Sorry, just checking on the time. Yeah, we got about like 15 minutes, maybe. No, 13 minutes, 15. Something like that left. See how much we can get through. Eugene, how did you feel? Excuse me. How did you feel about Penny Parker being the generic anime trope character? It was the only sour point in the movie for me. As an anime fan, it did nothing for me, as this is how anime is always portrayed by mainstream Western entertainment, and I feel it's gotten really old. She's also the only Spider-Man character, the only Spider character, vastly changed from her comic book portrayal to the movie.
So I would say, sure, it's fair, like criticism. I wouldn't say it's much different from how Spider-Ham is about like being a cartoon, or Spider-Man Noir is about noir movies, right? And they're all just kind of like riffing off of those things. I don't think she riffs off anime super hard. I am interested in how she's portrayed in the comics because I'll be honest, had no awareness of who she is.
So I'm with you, Kyle. That's what I was waiting for you to answer because I don't have as much expertise on the other depictions. I had to ask people after the film, like, so were these really other depictions of the Spider-Man character?
Yeah.
And they're like, my friend's like, yeah, it is. And there's actually Simmons who was explaining to me that like the most change was Penny Parker. They changed her up from what she was, and like they're like, yeah, they made her like generic anime like girl essentially. And I thought they were going for like almost like a Big Hero 6 type thing, like kid and like robot. I mean, it's more than Big Hero 6, but like there's the most recent thing I saw that reminded me of that trope.
It's fair.
And yeah, fighting with like the mech suit. It's like, oh yeah, well, you know, this is anime like 101 right here. Yeah, it didn't. It was more of like, oh, that's kind of interesting to see this like anime aesthetic kind of injected into this with all the other cool art styles. but at the same time, it didn't do a lot for me.
Sure.
It wasn't as exciting. I think Spider-Ham, like you're going Spider-Pig because of the Simpsons movies.
Yeah,
Kyle,
different guys.
and that song keeps going off in my head every time I see it. I know it's different now.
Yep.
Going into the movie, I thought it was a Simpsons reference. So I went in the movie. It's like, oh, so they're gonna bring the Simpsons into this somehow. And then,
Man, that would have been this whole other level, dude. That would have been a whole other level.
and then Nicolas Cage's noir Spider-Man. Yeah.
Like if you're a noir fan and you get upset that he's like he's just
Yeah.
like stereotypically noir, like I get that too, but like that's kind of the point of those characters. I don't know. I think she just brings a different angle, right? I guess I wish I knew what she was like in the comics, but if it was similar enough to Miles or someone else on the team, they just needed to make it different to fill a new hole. Because there's 6 of them, so yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with it.
There's a
I get what you're saying, though. I
unique
get
way
what
to
you're saying.
fight and stuff, like using the
Yep.
mechs of like it wasn't her powers per se. It was like this robot thing.
Yeah.
And then they had the whole sad thing, like bye robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that trope was in there too. Sad. Sam asks, "Are the two of you big Spider-Man fans outside of the movies?"
It's weird. Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, but I'm still not like well read. You know.
That's sadly me too.
Yeah.
Um,
favorite superhero?
Well, not well read,
Oh, okay.
but not my favorite superhero. Sorry, Kyle.
Which is who? Don't say Batman.
I have to think about it honestly.
Then it's Spider-Man.
No, okay, it's Spider-Man because it's literally the last superhero movie in my head right
If
now.
you
so I
can't think
will
of a
say
hero
Spider-Man.
you like more than Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man.
No, it's probably. I mean, it depends on what I'm watching. Like from Guardians, like I like a lot of the Guardians characters. They're like as a group, they're probably like my favorite.
That's
But,
fair. It's fair as a group. I'll
I
take it.
mean, we'll see. And yeah, that's a hard question. Like,
It's a hard question.
And without going to like it's Wolverine or it's Spider-Man or like any of the big name people, I want to think about that.
No, it's weird. I'll like dream of being a Spider-Man, but I won't like watch a movie twice.
Oh, I mean, I'd gladly take any one of their powers. It'd be
Yeah.
like amazing. I think a lot of people did watching it at all make you feel compelled to seek out the references you might have missed? I immediately talked with my friends.
Yeah.
They were pointing out stuff like that. So
About
yes
Penny
for
Parker,
me.
sure. Yeah, a little bit. Like I do. It's weird. I actually think comics are cool. I think that people who have subscriptions and go to a comic store and say, "Hi, my name's Kyle Bosman," and they're just like, "Here's your folder, dude. Here's a little box of comics that you subscribe to." Like to me, that's the coolest thing. And so I always kind of admired that, and I think that the script was written by people who love the comics, and that was evident. And so it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was missing references, like references were going over my head, but I did feel like I was missing out on like a certain love, a certain level of love. You know what I mean? Like you can recognize Tombstone and they never say his name out loud, but also just like, to me, that's like a cheap reference. It's not like, oh, I know that guy. But like on a deeper level, it's just like, oh, I really truly appreciate what they're doing with these characters.
You know what, Kyle? I think I agree with that. I think I felt a level of kind of guilt that perhaps people who are more art aficionados, more comic book aficionados, were seeing more than I was like seeing and stuff, and I felt bad that I wasn't seeing. Getting as much out of the film as probably they were, because I've seen some praise for this film, and there's like a higher degree of like I want to say expression of like love for this film I'm seeing coming out of other people, that this was like almost like a life-changing thing for them in terms of seeing what is possible for animation, what is possible for a comic book adaptation. And while I understand and empathize with that, and I feel great about this movie, I don't like I'm not quite at that like high level like that I see it like through their eyes and stuff, and it's kind of like I feel guilty because it's like I wish I could just see through your eyes just for a second and like see that as well, because I'm not as well versed in some of this stuff, so I'm definitely missing some layers to this film.
Yeah.
I feel like James, I'll just read this because we kind of talked about this already. James asked if Insomniac were to make a Spider-Man game based off one of the versions of Spider-Man or Spider-Woman seen in this film, whom would you want to see the most? So let's keep it that. Which of the like Spider characters represented in this film would you want to see an Insomniac game on?
I'm gonna go with Schlubby Spider-Man, Schlubby jaded Spider-Man, who's like over it all. I really liked him a lot.
Interesting.
He's just like used to it. He's used to like he's right now he's about to say you have 24 hours. He's like you have 24 hours. It's like that's so good. That was actually like a fun angle on Spider-Man.
I mean, it'd be insane to see Spider-Ham stuff, but like noir Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like just that setting and stuff would be kind of like cool.
Yeah.
It's like
I guess so.
yeah, like
I'd want it to
how
be
do
a little
people
goofy. Still want to be a little cagey, Nick Cagey.
Oh
you
yeah,
know what I mean, like,
oh for sure.
Yeah,
they'll definitely go with that.
Okay.
All right. Next question from Dominic, and I kind of like this. We got like maybe 2 or 3 more questions left that
Let's
we can
do
get
3.
through.
Let's do 3.
How do you feel about Chris Pine's character in the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Peter A. Parker,
Yeah.
canon Spider-Man. What have you being kept out of the ads to the point that dubbing his appearance with Jake Johnson's lines? I guess they went that far to cover it up in the trailers.
I didn't know that's fun.
Was this a smart move, and did he like his role in the movie regardless?
Way smart move. I the trailer I watched, I kind of wish that I hadn't seen it because you do see Jake Johnson having a burger with Miles, and so like when Spider-Man died, it's like okay, but I'm still gonna get to see that scene, you know. So yeah, I almost wish they only showed stuff from like the first implementation of Spider-Man. But anyway, I love it. I love how basically he reflects upon. Is it B. Parker? Peter B. Parker is the other one?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So Peter B. Parker, you get a better sense of his character as a reflection of Peter A. Parker because he's like 10 years older. I don't really know how many years older he is. But, you know, so he's just so courageous. I always get up. He's just like, hey, buddy, you know what I mean? He really wants to talk to Miles. He sees Miles immediately and wants to befriend him and train him. Has a successful relationship with Mary Jane, is blonde for some reason. And so I love that character. Chris Pine doing the voice is really funny because he's just a handsome guy who's also very funny. And so you could see like why it'd be intimidating not to be like him. Didn't know they dub over. I at least appreciate that. I appreciate that much for sure.
Yeah. It was kind of thinking about it, and then immediately after the film, it was kind of shocking to see that even at the film's resolution, the Miles is now in a world where he is now Spider-Man because Spider-Man died.
Yeah.
That's canon in that universe. And I'm like, oh, I always expected it to be, I mean, it was a big deal in the film, but I always expected it to be like the conclusion of a film. Like the resolution of a film is like, Spider-Man is now dead. Come back for the next film to see how like the fallout affects everyone and who rises up to be the, like I always thought that transition of power would be over 2 films, basically. I didn't actually, whether I was just negligent in the trailers or just kept it out of my mind. I wasn't aware going in that Spider-Man dies. So
Sure.
Yeah. So I went into the film like, whoa, is he I was like, oh no, they're gonna undo it. He's gonna come back. And like, no, he stays. That Peter A. Parker stays dead. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
like,
so it's good to give him different voice actors.
yeah, and I like that. I was like, okay, that's why there's 2 different voices. Oh,
Yeah.
I like this. You know, this whole film was just okay. I like this. This was not what I expected, but it still had a really good payoff and worked out really well.
Yeah, it's clever.
Bjorn is Into the Spider-Verse something that you want a sequel to?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, that was a very hard question. I know.
Is that the whole question?
With so many bad sequels these days, cough, Wreck-It Ralph, cough.
Whoa! Next question. We're moving on.
Okay.
Excuse me? No. We got to read the rest of it. But Wreck-It Ralph 2 is very good. Like, that's a bad sequel? Oh.
Kyle, can I say the trailers were so off-putting to me? I still have not seen it.
Wreck-It Ralph 2 spoiler mode. Here it is. Let's go. Okay, spoiler mode. Wreck-It Ralph 2 is a meaningful Disney animated movie.
A meaningful.
All right. Let's read the rest of that question.
Can we have a standalone movie that is just good and singular? If they do make another, what would you hope for or want from a Spider-Verse 2? Personally, I want more, but not if it's from the same. I guess they want more only if it's from the same team. They'd use double not, so I had to cancel it out.
I get what that means. Yeah, I think that the same team will be behind the sequel. I think that they realize that they made something special here. Damiani obviously has the facts on the announcements, but I have to assume they'll at least be producing again.
Oh Oh yeah, so it was produced by Avi Arad, and I know that name because two reasons. One, I got to interview him for the Metal Gear documentary I did with Keeley years ago. But also he's been on producer of all the Sony Spider-Man films since like the Raimi films. That name's always been attached there, and it's Phil Lord and it's right there. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller got up, but on the screen. So they're also like the producers on this film, and I'm pretty sure they'll all be back.
Great.
For these sequels, the announced sequel and probably the spinoff. I just don't know who's directing or anything like that.
Sure. I get what the question is, though, because
Yeah.
it's like it's not
yeah.
just the style. It is the writing. It is the crafting of the story. So, yeah, I get why you'd be nervous about just them, like, duplicating it, plop, 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 plop.
Yeah, it's always
Like
always,
the Lego movies.
it's always like a tough thing. Like, like when people go in there, they obviously like have the back of their mind, we might be able to make sequels to this, but they're giving it all for that, like so they believe in that one single story.
Yeah.
And then when it does so well, it's like, hey, you got to come up with more.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I kind of scribbled this on my napkin one time. Let's like, but like, I still think it could be good. Like if they put that much effort and love and care into it, but at the same time, sometimes I wonder how much of it is no matter what you do for a sequel, if you get the same people, same effort, same passion, there's just something that an intangible thing that's like, it's just not as good as the first one for whatever reason.
It'll never have the same impact.
Yeah.
This thing came out of
Oh
nowhere.
yeah, the
hit
impact
like a
is
truck.
a different thing, but there's obviously been sequels that have outdone the originals.
Yeah.
That is possible. It's just, I think that's one of the hardest things probably to do with a film is make a better sequel.
Yeah.
Eventually, you might be able to make a film that succeeds the original or the quote-unquote best in the series. But man, I was thinking about that. It seems really hard. Well, this one we kind of like answered from Matt. Spider-Verse Spider-Man versus PS4 Spider-Man versus MCU Spider-Man. Who did best?
They all did it so well. To be honest with you, I think it would become overbearing if you played a whole game in that style. That it's an open world. You know what I mean? I think that they're all perfect implementations. Like they utilized the animated space as best they could, right? They utilized their medium, whereas Insomniac utilized theirs, and Marvel's cinematic universe is utilizing theirs. To make it young Spider-Man, I think was a really good call. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're all good. I'm not gonna pick a winner there.
I like having. I mean, obviously, I haven't played the Spider-Man game, but I like having a period of time that we live in right now, where we have multiple depictions of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they're all ongoing, supposedly. I'm assuming there'll be a sequel to the video game, hopefully. They're all probably going to be ongoing. And when you think about it, it's like, what other big comic book person right now has at least three iterations of them ongoing right now?
I'd say Batman.
And are super popular.
Oh, maybe not super popular anymore.
Yeah, what's going on? Like,
But,
Batman's an animated like stuff, but
Yeah.
what live action's on hold right now?
Yeah. I think for a long time, though, Batman had movie Batman, animated series Batman, and comic
Oh,
book
video
Batman.
game. At one point
yeah.
it did, but I think at this right now it's
Yep.
kind of been in a lull.
Sure.
Like we haven't had that. It might come back, but not yet.
Spider-Man best hero.
All right.
So you want to do one more?
Yeah, that's probably the last one.
'Kay.
Ibrahim Sozer. This is the best Spider-Man movie ever. I cried when Peter Parker died. I was the guy who always wanted Peter Parker's story, but this movie changed my mind.
Ooh.
I probably will still be upset if Spider-Man PS4 kills Peter Parker and you become Miles. Wait, sorry. I probably will still be upset if Spider-Man PS4 kills Peter Parker and you become Miles. Do you think the game will go in this direction? How do you feel about Miles from the movie versus the game? So I'm guessing this is like game stuff. I've not played it and everything like that. So
That's a little tricky. We might have to move on because this isn't a Spider-Man the game spoiler.
Yeah, I just realized, like, as I was reading that, I was like,
You're touching on some touchy subjects. We'll move on. We'll move on
Okay,
from
sorry.
that.
So, this will be our real last one. From Quasnarg. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, writers directors of the Lego Movie, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, produced this movie, with Phil Lord creating the story and co-writing it. How do you think the movie fares in comparison to other fast-paced comedy movies that they have put out?
I definitely get some. You get some Lego vibes from it when it's just like the Rubik's Cube jokes. Like Spider-Man Noir, like, is it blue? You know what I mean? Like, I get like that to me is a Lego movie type joke, and you could sense them in shoot. They also started on Solo, and then they got kicked off of that project.
Yeah.
But Solo still has some Lego movie type jokes in there too, like about Lando having a bunch of capes. You know what I mean? Like that to me is their type of humor.
Oh yeah.
So it's there. The last question did start off with this made me cry. Like Lego Movie, like doesn't make you cry. I haven't seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Maybe that jerks the tears right out. But like to me, this movie had a ton of heart and a ton of authenticity. Despite it, it showed like New York. It showed what it's like to be a teenager in ways that are hard to capture. And so, yeah, while you could call it a fast-paced comedy, and the jokes are so solid, they're so good, the characters are so well animated, and the voice acting is obviously top tier. That's why I would say it's different. It is, I guess it's authenticity. I guess I would say it's different in that way.
Good answer. Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking about how Solo would have been if it was completely, if it
It would have been better. At least would have been one vision, right? Or if
Yeah.
Ron Howard started from the beginning.
Now that
it
I've
would have
seen
been
Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse, and obviously I've seen the Lego movie, and I really like the Lego movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I can now imagine what I would have gotten out of a finished Lord and Miller Solo film.
Yeah.
And it probably would have been a better experience than I finally watched Solo.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as everything made it out to be, but definitely could have used some work.
Yep.
And yeah. That's gonna wrap it up. I did get a sneak peek at the next question, but it's like a really long lore. Why was this?
One more question. Let's do it.
Why
One
was
more.
this? And I think it's
One more.
I think it's for you, Kyle.
Okay.
I think it's for you.
All
And
right,
it
let's
comes
do
from
it.
Greg Kettering.
One more.
Greg Kettering, The Dark Knight. I'm gonna go just to the question.
Okay. Fair enough.
Here we go. Why was Mary Jane at Kingpin's party at the end of the movie? Even though the news said an earthquake killed Peter, she had to know Kingpin had something to do with her husband's death, right? Aunt May was dialed in throughout the movie. Ultimate Comics MJ, which Miles' universe was mostly based off of, is a reporter, so was she there covering the event? It just struck me as odd since she didn't seem to mind at all that Spidey waiters just wanted bread. For the movie, I understood the scene was to get B. Parker to use her as a proxy MJ to convey his feelings, but I couldn't square away what her motivations were in that moment.
No, I mean you answered your own question. Yeah. She went to the party so that the character could interact with her, and the waiters were wearing Spider-Man masks so that they could have a silly wandering around scene, right? Sometimes you write a joke backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of reason. I mean, like they're honoring her husband, and so even if you don't like Wilson Fisk, who she probably just presumes is like a bad guy, you know what I mean? They were still honoring Spider-Man, so I guess I could see her still there.
I feel like having recently watched Daredevil season 3, there are just times where either Matt Murdock or Foggy or any of them have to be in the presence of Fisk, or even like other people, and they know he's bad, but they have it's just something they have to do. They have to grin and bear it.
I mean, think of when George H.W. Bush just died. The front row of presidents who clearly don't like each other, but are all sitting next to each other, right? Like some things just draw people together, especially funerals and honoring the dead. So yeah, I'm cool with it. Way cool with it.
Nice. That's gonna wrap it up for this spoiler mode.
That was a fun one, dude.
Spider-Man Into the
I like taking the
Spider-Verse.
questions. That was fun.
Yeah, thank
Good
you for those
questions,
questions. Yeah, we don't always do that for spoiler mode. It seems to be any spoiler mode that I am on.
Well, like games are different. Games are way different.
Yeah.
There's a clear structure to that kind of episode. I get it.
Yeah, this makes sense. I think the last few I've been on have only been for movies or TV shows, so it does make sense because there's a lot of stuff like we could just talk about on our own, I feel like, but I sometimes it's not always what the audience wants to hear.
Sure.
Since you are the ones who are making this possible, I'd rather talk about what all of you want us to talk about with this, because there is so much. We could talk about this for hours, but we only get roughly 1 hour, just a little under an hour to talk about these. And so thank you again for everyone who is a $5 and up patron for submitting those questions. I did for $5 and up patrons this time.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it was supposed to be for $1 and up.
Yep.
It was really late, so I apologize. I think the last two I've done for $1 and up, but
it probably should have been.
It should have been $1, but I guess it was in retrospect. to my defense, it's probably good because we had almost 50 questions from $5 and up.
That's why I started doing the podcast, dude. I was scared about getting too many questions.
We probably would have gotten like 100 questions if we did $1. So I apologize. In the future, I'll try and actively remember if we're calling for questions for this. But it's supposed to be open to patrons. But anyway, thank you for your support for this. Thank you, Kyle, for joining me on
thank you, Damiani.
this. And until next time. If you didn't tell, we were supposed to zoom out of here. It didn't work.
It worked. I'm out of here.